There are places on this earth where the ground feels heavier, the air colder, and silence hangs like a warning. Imagine a forest where people walk in, but never walk out. A place whispered about in local legends, feared by travelers, and marked by the stories of those who vanished without leaving a single trace. Some say the forest is alive, that it doesn't just watch you, it takes you. They call it the forest that swallows people whole. Every town has its warnings, its whispered stories told to children to keep them from wandering too far. But this forest is different. People don't just avoid it because of superstition. They avoid it because too many who entered never came back. Locals speak of it with lowered voices, as if even saying its name too loudly might call something out from the trees. Travelers passing through are warned to stay away, told that the forest isn't just dangerous, it's hungry. Over the years, the reputation has grown like the forest itself. Farmers who once tried to cut its edges for land swore that the woods pushed back, with tools breaking and strange sounds echoing at night. Hunters spoke of shadows moving where no animal could be. And whenever someone went missing nearby, the answer was always the same. It must have been the forest. The name, the forest that swallows people whole, didn't come from one story. It came from many. Each disappearance added to its legend, until the place itself became more than trees and soil. It became a warning, a boundary no one dared cross. The stories of the forest weren't always as loud as they are now. At first, it was just whispers, one or two people who wandered in and never returned. Some said it was travelers cutting through the woods, trying to save time. Others said it was villagers chasing after lost cattle or gathering firewood. But the strangest part? None of them left behind a single trace. One of the earliest tales speaks of a young man who set out to hunt. He was experienced, strong, and knew the land well. When he didn't come home that evening, his family searched, calling his name until their voices were raw. They found his footprints leading into the forest, but they simply stopped, as if the earth had swallowed him whole. No broken branches, no signs of a struggle, just silence. After him came more. A woman gathering herbs, a pair of brothers who thought the stories were just local superstition, even a child who chased a ball too far. Every time, the same ending. People went in, but no one saw them again. What made it worse was how ordinary it always seemed at the start. No storms, no wild animals, no reason at all. Just an ordinary walk into the trees that became the last anyone ever saw of them. That was when people began to believe this wasn't just chance. It wasn't just bad luck. The forest itself seemed to choose who it wanted, and once it did, nothing could bring them back. When the disappearances could no longer be ignored, people began to search. Families, neighbors, even organized teams entered the forest with lanterns, dogs, and determination. At first, it seemed like a simple rescue, someone lost, waiting to be found. But the deeper they went, the stranger it became. They would follow footprints into the undergrowth, only for them to vanish mid-step, as if the person had been lifted straight into the air. Sometimes belongings turned up. A shoe, a torn scrap of fabric, even food left behind in perfect condition. But never the person themselves. Rescue dogs would whine at the edge of certain clearings, refusing to go farther, as if something invisible stood in their way. One team reported hearing voices, faint and echoing, like people calling for help just beyond the trees. But no matter how far they ran toward the sound, they never found anyone. Another search party swore they heard laughter, low, mocking, and inhuman, carried on the wind through the branches. What unsettled them most, though, was the silence. The forest seemed too still, too empty, as though it was holding its breath, waiting. Searchers often described the feeling of being watched, of something just out of sight moving alongside them, always keeping pace, but never showing itself. And when the searches ended, they ended the same way every time, empty-handed. The people were gone, not lost, not hiding, just gone. The forest had taken them and left behind only questions. When something defies explanation, people try to make sense of it. And with this forest, the theories grew as thick as the trees themselves. Some chose simple answers. Perhaps those who vanished were attacked by wild animals, dragged away so quickly their tracks disappeared. Others said the terrain itself was to blame, with hidden sinkholes, caves, or swamps that swallowed victims without leaving a trace. But those who knew the forest best doubted these ideas. Hunters insisted that if predators were to blame, there would be signs, blood, claw marks, bones. None were ever found. As for the ground-swallowing people, that might explain one or two cases, but not dozens. Not the voices searchers claimed to hear, nor the eerie belongings left neatly behind. And so, darker theories began to take root. Some whispered that the forest was cursed, a place where restless spirits dragged the living into their world. Others believed the land itself was alive, that the forest was not just trees and soil, but something sentient, choosing who it wanted to keep. A few even told stories of a hidden cult, using the forest as a hunting ground, luring in travelers who would never be seen again. The strangest part? No single theory could explain everything. The disappearances spanned decades, sometimes centuries, yet the pattern remained the same. People walked in, and the forest kept them. It was as though the place itself didn't want to be understood, like it thrived on mystery, feeding on the fear it created. Even now, the forest still stands, quiet, untouched, and avoided. To outsiders, it may look like any other patch of wilderness, just trees swaying in the wind. But to those who live nearby, it is a place marked, a place you don't go unless you want to risk never coming back. The paths that once led into it have grown over with weeds, almost as if nature itself is trying to block the way. Locals still tell travelers not to enter, warning them with the same old stories. And yet, every few years, someone ignores the warnings. Hikers, adventurers, thrill seekers. They go in, curious about the legend, eager to prove it wrong. Some return and laugh it off, but others never walk back out. Their names are added to the list of the missing, their belongings sometimes found at the edge of the trees, as if the forest spit out what it didn't want. Even modern technology has done little to ease the fear. GPS devices glitch inside the woods, compasses spin uselessly, and drones sent overhead sometimes lose their signal without reason. It's as though the forest has a way of resisting being mapped, of keeping its secrets hidden. Today, it remains a place both feared and respected. To some, it's just a dangerous stretch of land, but to others, it's something more, a reminder that no matter how much we think we've conquered the natural world, there are still places that do not belong to us. Places that might never give back what they take. What makes this forest so unforgettable isn't just the disappearances, it's the silence that follows them. No answers, no remains, no final clues to explain what really happened. Just the lingering sense that the trees themselves are keeping a secret, one they refuse to share with anyone who leaves alive. Every missing person becomes part of its story, woven into the legend like another ring in the trunk of an ancient tree. And with every new vanishing, the question grows heavier. Is this simply nature at its most unforgiving, or is there something deeper at play? Something human eyes weren't meant to see? People who live nearby don't even like to talk about it for long. They say the forest listens, that speaking of it too openly might draw its attention. Some avoid even walking along its edge, as though its shadow alone is enough to reach out and pull them in. And so the mystery endures, as thick and unbroken as the canopy above. It is a place where the line between the natural and the supernatural blurs, where people vanish into nothing, and the only thing left behind is fear. And so, the question lingers. What really lies within this forest? Is it just another stretch of dangerous wilderness, claiming lives through accidents and missteps? Or is there something more, something that chooses who enters and who never leaves? The truth may never be known. What we do know is this: a forest should feel alive with birds, with wind, with the sound of nature. But this one feels alive in a different way, as though it's watching, waiting, and keeping its secrets buried beneath the leaves. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.